Welcome to today's crypto day morning, and in today's video we're going to take a look at Bitcoin first, cross over to the precious metals as well as the Canadian US dollar cross, take a very quick look at the stock market, a few altcoins, and then analysis on one NBA game for tonight. All trades, bets of the like within one's each own risk and their own reward. Since the bottom on December the 15th, the price action on the market starting on the 17th had 4 good days in a row, making it up to the 4100 or getting up past three key Fibonacci levels, the shorter term ones and an intermediate term one. That's about as far as it got. It had a second test of 4100 starting the second week of January, but it hasn't been above 4,000 since that point. And after this red candle down, it managed to have a sideways move for quite some time. And now with the support coming in at around 3,470, has broken down below that. It got noticeably down below this low in yesterday's session. Further newer lows today, down to on the Coinbase exchange as low as 3,338. When we take a look at this on a 4-hour term time frame, this is the situation where once it broke down from here, you had a decent sized leg, small correction, another leg lower as well. And thus far, it's only been a small correction, as this level of support is what you'd be looking for resistance. So far it is, as well of course as things like the 18 average. On the single hour time frame, things becoming a little bit more neutral, but that doesn't say much. It's once it makes an attempt to get over there, like we've seen in here, if it obviously fails such, then you could have a significant move lower. And going back to the daily term, if we end up going lower, it looks as if it's going to do such as well, then we have a previous low level at 3,100 and change. That area could be an area of moderate to okay levels of support. And at any time when these things are ready to go, I've oftentimes seen before a good move, either to the up or downside, that there's a little bit of a fear in the opposite direction beforehand. But when I see or talk about that, when I see these breakdowns, I realize that is the minority of the situation. It's more likely now that this key level, really the band of support between 3480-ish to 3580, so that $100 range. Well, within that, since it has broken it out and it's only been a little bit of a move, the probability odds at least state that there's a good chance that there's still going to be at least a little bit more downward move left. Taking a look at this on a more longer term time frame, starting off within the weekly, this level of key support, obviously decent size leg lower, hasn't had any real decent size rallies yet, given that it still hasn't even touched the 18 average on this particular time frame. And because of such, you've had this good move lower as far as a leg lower is concerned. And now it's been consolidating for several weeks now, over 2 months. And not so big volatility. We can see the last couple of periods not really doing so much, as was the case in here. And at any given time, a significant move is going to happen. A decent sized red candle down or green candle up is the most likely situation. And therefore, if we have a decent sized red candle, aka this type of move in here, something like this, I'd be looking maybe somewhere around in here. So we can see the low 2000s to mid 2000s would be the interesting level, and conservatively even around 25, 26. But the 3,000 level that I talked about way back in here for so long, it was a pierce above. That really not the more I can say about it. When you have something like that, especially in a case of buy order city at like 3,000 low, barely above, which was the case for me over and over, and I got a few of them bought in. Well, now my buy orders, or the equivalency of sell orders on TUSD, would be the price to go down towards at least into the 2,600 range. That's the, again, the conservative level down if it's going to go there. And the reason why I have the play is nothing more than a hedge play for that. If the market's going to go down, I'm going to take the TUSD that were sold or bought back in here and then turn them into Bitcoin and get a bit better of a return on the play, realizing that at some point I do believe a bottom is going to come in that would then follow a very good significant rally thereafter. Now let's switch this off to precious metals. Gold next, as this level of resistance taken out. And that's an area I'd be looking for support somewhere in here. High 1290s and the 1290 number up to 1297. That would be the area of support. It would match up with the 18, which did a phenomenal job back January 18th through the 24th as the area of support. So therefore this support was highly established. This resistance was as well, and it's already broken out above it. So far for the day, it's only up about that of 0.5%. And if we take a look at this shorter term before we head to the longer term level, it got by this level here at 1304, more shorter term, and it's had an okay leg higher. I could definitely expect that there's a decent chance, given that it's 9:22 a.m. the markets on the US side for stocks and such is opening soon, that we're probably going to have further gains throughout the day, although it's still overextended, and a correctionary move is, I'm not going to say likely to happen, but if it does, I'm going to be looking towards, again, the high 1290s area, looking at this more long term. We'll use the weekly, and it's well overextended now from this 18, but saying that, after this high on New Year's Eve, about 3 or so periods just going sideways in here, and it's just barely broken out as we've seen in the daily. This thing has a good chance, I think, over this week, next week, moving up to the 13.5 mark. But again, well overextended. I'm going to be looking for a 61.8% Fibonacci, as well as 38.2 on any corrections down, as well as this 18 average. As far as previous area where it came from on the leg higher, 1236 to this 1255 is meh. But that's what I'd be looking for. But for now, expect there's a decent chance that follow through could most certainly come into play, and in doing such, getting up to the 13.5, and especially if it does a bit more than that, getting up to around 13 2/3 or 1365 area, there's a major level of resistance that has done decent in making higher lows. What do I mean by decent? Well, this uptrend line obviously got taken out. Thus, this low here matching to this one pretty much, and a higher low overall to this one. So therefore, a little bit of an extended sideways correction along the way, but it didn't have a significant breakdown. So therefore, after this was such an amazing spot to look for, oh, if this breaks resistance, this is going to be going up really nicely. Well, it almost furthers the analysis and probabilities breaking out above. If it does, as I'm seeing now, have this break below, end the uptrend, not start a downtrend, and then work towards regaining the up move, yeah, that to me seems that breaking out above this, we could have a decent sized leg towards the upside. And on the Canadian fiat currency, gold, it's in that area of major resistance here. It's at the lower end of it right now at the 17 1/3 mark, with the upper end being in the high 1800s to low 1800s. We got some resistance here at about 1790. This high in 2011, I get 1894, 1905. So 1900, a significant level, but breaking out above this. This has had a nice little bull flag, if you want to call it that, from its rally from, well, it even goes lower than this, because this was at 200 and change back in the, at least in US dollars, so 400 or so back at the start of the century, millennium, both the same in this case. Silver against the Canadian fiat, it's up to the 18 average of highs on the monthly chart. Basically a very long standing sideways movement that started in the summer of 2013, over 5.5 years in. On its daily chart, having a nice little correction move, but coming back close to this level of resistance, because lately the Canadian dollar has had more strength over the US fiat. If we take a look at silver against the US dollar, it's completed this little pattern of a nice higher low, filling in a little bit of this empty space that it had from this point in here, breaking down below the 18 lows, but not for much and not for long. Up to this level of resistance, and on its weekly term time frame against this situation here is at the lower end of this level of support. It had basically three occurrences. It originally got there at the end of the year, so the higher low on the daily has brought it back. So now if we can upgrade from the lowest end of support, then the next area is the medium or so end, or the lower congestion area. This previous congestion area would be 16.5 or so. So that would be that next area. We got a bunch of previous high range from about 1723 up to about 1830 as some key areas as well. And then as I've got the line drawn in here, that was one of the key areas for where it found resistance. So any decent sized correctionary moves, that to me would be the must hold area. Let's take a look next at the stock market, which has been, for itself, has been very volatile. Since this high in here has been a decent leg lower down to this 21, but it's had a very good rally ever since, still correcting some of this and a good amount of this empty space. 61.8% Fibonacci is in the near term area. I'm not going to calculate it, but from this high to this low, we're looking somewhere right around near 25,000. And it's at that point, it's done a little bit of sideways moves. If we take a look at this on, say, a weekly chart, more of a long-term point of view, it's a big situation for it. It was a tremendous uptrend, having a support established, multiple hit in this area, resistance established. It got above resistance, but it only matched previous high and was unable to correct where you'd want it to within the 18. Thus, by failing to correct there, it retested this low on this event here to this point with a pierce above. It resisted the 18 that was trying to go sideways, thus flat at the time. And then on the rejection, it broke through key support. And like normal, you expected a decent leg, which is the case. And now, since that point, it's had a continuous rally to the 18, and that's where it stands right now. Price action failing to go up or down, which it means that it doesn't get above like 25,000 low, 25,100-ish. Failing to go down, which means it's going to hold at about 23,500, so a little bit above, a little bit below, and within the 18 is holding. That's going to neutralize this 18. And at that point, any type of significant breaks above here is the attempt for this to be a failed breakdown and a fast move higher. It still has to get it decently above it, 25.2-ish round minimum. That's the attempt it would be doing. And on any bear situation, it's never a surprise after a decent leg lower to have a good rally, which usually is resisting previous support, which is the case. Resisting something like the 18 highs, lows, or closes, which is the case again via that of the highs. And in a bear market, again, not common to maybe come down again in here in a few days. And then when you break down below the 18 lows, in this case, a clear move would be about 2328 handle. And then you could be talking about making possibly support at previous low, but another leg lower in a bear market, not a surprise and to be expected amongst such. Let's move on to alternate cryptocurrencies. And Theta will be first up to talk about, which had this monstrous move in here, but I'm going to forget that for now and just focus on what's been going on recently, with a lot of this resistance established near where this line is in at 1495. Had a very good move on January 27th, and then some decent correctionary moves. 1900 so far down to 14.5, and within the 18 average, staying above the lows, staying above this line, which means it's at the area I'd like to see it correct the upper area of such, getting out above this given its correctionary moves. Seeing price action today, tomorrow, next day within this setup pattern at around 1670, 1650, 1700, high 1600s. To me is a clear break above this, and look, I'd be looking towards not only a conservative but move to 1900, but probably breaking it for decent sized moves. Now let's take a look at this on a more shorter term level, because that's what's going to help signify or indicate if something of that type of event's coming into play, because from the decline most recent, it has consolidated a little bit, but falling down below in this, going down towards 1477, could continue more of a sideways range bound. But if there's going to be more correctionary moves, especially, I'd be looking for price to move, come down to 1341 if it fails from here. But if you see anything on the short-term time frame for this to get going, then that could be it. Now, as far as the single hour, that's given us pretty good indication in here. There's the downtrend from this point down to here. Resistance has been established at the 22-hour period yesterday, close to 1600. And so far correcting decently there. So therefore, what would be ideal is maybe come up to this level again, maybe stall for a little bit, have maybe a support test at this now current established resistance at 1545, and then maybe break above it. And seeing something like that getting above in here, that would be that early indication for such an event to take place. And let's finally finish this off for charts with that at PivX, which has had this major level of established support at about 20, we'll say the 202 handle, and yesterday's session breaking down below. Just a small rally right now up towards that point. And therefore, I'm looking at this on the single hour time frame and seeing how it's making a statement to actually make a rally, as it has had this down move. And I'm going to put this on the Binance exchange for better looking candles. And amongst this, we have the resistance established in here, which has already gotten above it. And we also have the good sideways movement that it has had. The clear break, correct, coming back to this area. That if we start to see more with this new level here, something like this, hold this correctionary move, because now the 18 is just starting to rise. So this is the first time on this time frame that it's even attempted to break it. So now that it's made that statement, if it's able to correct nicely, especially if it could develop some more resistance in this area and then have that break above, that this thing could be ready to go for a decent sized move. Now this number is 2024 as far as the key breakout area. Looking at this again on the daily chart, and this is why I don't like using the Binance for this, because of that move. But if it does get above there, we'd be seeing this to get to the upper end of this band, 2185, previous resistance close to 22. So I'd be expecting for this to continue to go up higher, up towards this level again, if the situation of this getting above this level comes into play. Now for tonight, with the NBA, the association, I am looking at one game between the New Orleans Pelicans and the Houston Rockets. And I like the Houston Rockets laying 10 points in this game. I got that wager in last night. Line is still at that price, at least as I can see on covers.com. New Orleans forward Anthony Davis has demanded a trade. He did so yesterday. He did so in a professional manner, meaning take your time, but I'm done with you, is basically what he said. He's got a contract. He will play the rest of the season out, and he has no problem getting traded in the off season, is what he's basically saying. Drew Holiday, one of their next other big stars, said it was pretty much him for the reason why he signed with the team. And right now, Anthony Davis is injured. He's been injured for a few games. He will not play tonight. They have another decent player in Julius Randle, who is questionable. If he plays, there's going to be about a 1 point move, 1.5 point move in the favor of the New Orleans Pelicans. And if he doesn't, maybe in the opposite direction, as he is one of the key players for that team. But it looks to me as if New Orleans is trying, they might not say it, and they might not intentionally be putting out or say it to the players even, but I don't even know if they want to win anymore in New Orleans, as they'd be looking to get the best lottery pick as possible. Of course, we're talking about tonight, And I see the disarray amongst the team. Definitely things that's not to be going good in the New Orleans Pelicans' minds. And they're playing probably the hottest team in the NBA on the road right now with Chris Paul back in the lineup. And he had a pretty good game. Now, I don't know if he's going to play tonight. I'm really, really curious because it's a back-to-back. He logged about 25 minutes. I was going to say of ice time, but of court time. And he did relatively well within that period of time. 3 times this year, Houston has been double-digit favorites. If they hold this line, this will be the 4th time. And the last 3 times that they did, it was basically 30-point wins on every situation. I wouldn't be surprised again if they just take them out to the sea, and it's in the 3rd quarter and the score is already, say, 97-71. And you're going Harden and Paul and PJ Tucker and all of the other great Houston starters won't play much in the 4th quarter. That's my prediction. We'll see what happens. As far as the wager's concerned, I'm going to play it as I need to in fantasy. I'm not going to talk about that. But as far as the spread is concerned, I am laying 10 points, minus 106 on the price line for betting odds for the play. Have yourself a great day. Bye-bye.